Welcome to another episode of Infinite Nature Podcast. I am your host, Latoya, and today I am discussing the topic of how family trauma can impact your success. Hello, everyone. I am back with a new episode. It's been a minute since I have made an episode for the podcast. I had to get my life together. I've been busy, really focusing on creating content and just balancing my life out. This year has been a very big transformative year for me personally, with the energy of number four and balancing all areas of my life, which is actually a beautiful thing for me personally. I'm seeing a lot of growth when I look back at where I have been and where I am now. So I give thanks to that. But today I wanted to discuss the topic of how our family trauma can be keeping us away from living the life that we desire, experiencing success in the way that we view success. Everybody's definition of success is going to be different. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I am a book reader. I love to read books. And on my YouTube channel, I do book reviews. And I was started to read a book back in August called It Didn't Start With You: How Inherited Family Trauma Shapes Who We Are and How to End the Cycle by Mark Wolynn. And this has been a very amazing book. And by the time this podcast is live, you will also have the opportunity to look at the book review that I made on it on my YouTube channel. So check it out at Infinitenature. That's my YouTube name. And this book is very powerful and very insightful. And I really wanted to talk about this topic that was discussed in the book about how your family trauma could be impacting your success. There's a chapter in the book called The Core Language of Success. It's chapter number 13. And also I will be having more detailed topics about this book on my Patreon. My Patreon should be live by the time you hear this podcast, so you can check out my Patreon also under the name Infinite Nature. And I do have the links on my social media at Infinite Nature number one on Instagram. You can also go to Facebook at Infinite Nature. You can also go to Twitter at Infinite Nature number one, and also Tumblr at Infinite Nature. So I just wanted to drop that before I get started. But back to the topic at hand. I wrote a post on my social media that I wanted to share really quick. I shared about a month and a half ago that I was reading the book It Didn't Start With You: How Inherited Family Trauma Shapes Who We Are and How to End the Cycle by Mark Wolynn. I am almost done and excited to share my insights soon in a video. So many valuable nuggets in the book, to say the least. One of the most interesting pieces is how your family trauma can be holding back you living your purpose or being successful, whatever that looks like for you. Wolynn discusses how you could be atoning for the wrongdoings in the family history, or a very common one, family loyalty. It can show itself as feeling guilty for breaking a paradigm that occurred in the family, living more abundantly, etc. Repeating a rejected parent's life is another common one. We become our parents, even the ones we reject. When we learn our family history, even the difficult parts, it can unlock the invisible chains that we have been carrying. While all the things we carry are not our own, we can easily repeat it when we are not aware of it. So I shared that not too long ago. I've since then completed the book, and I've made a video on that. And I just wanted to delve deeper into this topic on the podcast. And in the book, one of the quotes that stood out to me that Mark Wolynn mentioned was how unresolved traumatic events in our families can hinder how success flows to us and how well we are able to receive it. And I was just like, wow, that is so deep. And, that's, when you think of different limiting beliefs that we have stored within us that we may not be aware of, or that we may be aware of. I'm aware of what mine have been because I was in a personal development program. We constantly talked about limiting beliefs, but just though a common one that was a part of me is I am not enough, or I need to know more, things like that, or I need more education, I need more training, I need more this and that in order for me to be successful, or whatever the case may be. So being able to identify those things and understanding where it stems from in your own family, and I want to make a disclaimer in this, it may very well have nothing to do with your family, some of the reasons why you are not reaching where you want to go. But I feel like a lot of our roadblocks stems from our childhood and stems from things that we have carried that we are not aware of. And it's just very important to reflect on that. It's still about holding yourself accountable and taking responsibility for your life. But we do have to look backwards in order to move forward, but don't stay stuck in the past. That's the key. So one of the ways that that Mark Wolynn discusses the different ways that we may be holding back on our successes is atoning for the wrongdoings in our family history. And he talks about attempting to balance the actions of someone before us, as if, someone that may possibly have done something wrong, like something that was very deceptive, got success that way, got money that way. And to balance that energy, you're living a life of struggle or strife or just whatever it may be, and if you take the time to look at the questions, particularly the questions that Mark Wolynn has in his book, he has questions specifically on these things. And you can look back on your family history and be like, wow, I see the parallel. I see the connection, excuse me. Also, being separated from your mother, being disconnected from others is another one too. Having an early break in a parent bond or a mother bond. And some people may take it as being rejected. That's an example that was used in the book, feeling rejected. And then feeling like you're not good enough, that you're forgotten. And then that manifests in your life. And you're not taking risks, or you're not showcasing who you are and what you truly have to offer because of that. Or another one is, that was mentioned in the book, is rejecting a parent can impede our success. So we have to remember that our parents are our life force. We come from our parents. So it's very impossible to block out them when we come from them. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important to make peace with that. And in my video, on my book review, I do mention a little tidbit of that our parents are a life force, and that we have to make peace with them no matter how challenging our relationships have been with them. It's important for us to do that, In the book, Mark Wolynn mentions, if we feel like we have received a lot from our parents, we are more likely able to feel like we receive a lot from life. And that makes complete sense to me. When you think about the trust versus mistrust, when you think about the levels of development when it comes to children, and Erik Erikson and what he talks about, that first level from the age of 0 to 18 months, when children are learning trust versus mistrust, if they're learning about feeling safe and secure with their parent figure, with their caregiver, that is key. Because when you feel safe in your life, when you feel like your needs are going to be met, regardless of what challenges you face in your life, you will know that all things will be well, and I will be provided for no matter what. So that's very important, and I really could connect with that that phrase, that statement that was made in the book. Also, when you reject your mother, you may unconsciously distance yourself from the comforts of life, from the security and the safety and being nurtured and nurturing your own self. So that makes complete sense to me personally. And that's why it's important, even as you become an adult, to mother your own self, especially if you're in a space where you and your mother are not close, or you don't have a relationship, or they have passed away. It's so important to make peace with that, and to mother your own self, and to nurture yourself, and to really tap into self-care. And another thing is being rejecting your father. And that can come up in not feeling comfortable amongst men, not feeling safe, feeling like are not protected, or you may build a big, huge wall because you don't want anything creeping in that will put you in harm's way. It could come up in so many variety of ways. At the end of it all, it's just so important that we really take the time to pay attention to our relationships with our parents, or the people that have played a huge part in our lives, and how that is impacting us here and now. And looking back in our family history and seeing where there were early breaks in parent-child relationships, and so much more when it comes to that, or people just dying unexpectedly, or people that may have had riches and then they lost it. You want to look at those things within your own family. The author also mentions in the book, we can also repeat rejected parent life experiences. So you may have so much resentment towards a parent because they weren't what you needed. They did things that put your family in harm's way. They did things to put their own self in harm's way, and you really resented them for that and wanted nothing to do with that. But then somehow, somewhere, you end up mirroring that same behavior because you haven't made peace with it. You haven't taken the time to unlock what the feelings that you felt inside that really made you feel hurt or angry and upset. That's why it's so important to reach a level of forgiveness. When I mean peace, I mean forgiveness and acceptance for what has happened, no matter what, for your benefit at the end of the day, no matter what. Also, the author talks about unconscious loyalty to failure. So that can manifest as not achieving more in life than your parents or your grandparents did, feeling like you can't excel more than they did. It's not fair. So that's where that loyalty comes in, and you can really delve deep into that. On my Patreon, I plan on delving deep into these things. So if you are interested in this type of information, or you're resonating with you and you like to learn to connect more with that, definitely sign up for my Patreon at Infinitenature. And also, we talk about the legacy of unfinished business. The legacy of unfinished business. So, like I mentioned before, and about the family members maybe dying early. So there was, the family member may die at a young age. So that can correlate. And I believe the example in the book was, it was something in relation to not feeling like you're being forgotten, or people don't notice you, or, you know what I'm saying? So it can manifest as you feeling like you're forgotten, things of that nature. Also, another one was past poverty condemn present prosperity. Past poverty condemn present prosperity. So you could be living in the past, can be still living in the struggles of your ancestors, struggles of your elders, and how they had to really overcome some of these things so you can be where you are today. But then you're still carrying on that energy, and the key is to connect with it, identify with it, and also do things that is within the book. That there's techniques and things that you can do to make peace with that. Also, personal guilt can suppress success. Personal guilt can suppress success. And that goes back to what I had mentioned in earlier, where I was discussing that, you may feel guilty for breaking a paradigm that occurred in the family and living more abundantly. And the key is to understand is that I believe at the core of it, our ancestors, our elders want us to do better than they did. I know that I want my child, my daughter, to live a way more abundant life than I am living now. The key, I want my great grandchildren to experience, be way better, having way more better experience in life to make it further than I do. And I'll do that by doing this work that I'm doing now with my own self. I want to clear out as much energy as I can so that when they become my age, they may still have to experience some things, but it's still an easier ride for them. I want to make it easier for the ones that come behind me. That's the point I want to make. So that's all that I wanted to discuss. I kind of went through it quickly because I didn't want this podcast to be too long. And number two, I'm finding that I'm gonna delve deeper into these type of topics on my Patreon account. So I just so excited about sharing all of this information that I've learned from this book, and I'm also going to share on my Patreon how I've applied these things in my life. So just stay tuned for more videos on my YouTube also, with book reviews and, as I mentioned before, things about spirituality, metaphysics, health and wellness. So just stay tuned for more topics to come. And you can always follow me on Instagram at Infinitenature1, Tumblr at Infinitenature, Twitter at Infinitenature1, and Facebook at Infinite Nature. Have a great day.